Tell people that I'm going to be busy and miss this thing. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Vtracc.eu VTuber Challenge. Today brings us all the way into Germany, into the heart of the Rhineland, to the Nürburgring Nordschleife, albeit just racing the GP circuit for today, also known in German as the GP Strecke. I am your lead commentator, Dirty Kohai, and I am joined by April Karlsvard and our producer slash commentator today of Sean KP. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hello.
Hello. Hello, yeah, good to see you all.
Right, Theo, back again for another one today. Round 5 of a 6-race championship. See our many various VTubers battle the infamous mountain paths in Germany, located right near the Nürburg Castle. Any expectations for our race, the race between our competitors today?
Well, one of the things that I'm noticing, we had quite a few pro drivers last race, if I remember correctly, but that ratio seems to be a little bit more even now, so I guess that just means there's more to lose for any pro drivers who make an early mistake, as we saw in the last race as well. So, yeah, I'm guessing a lot of people are just thinking, keep it clean, keep it consistent, stay on track.
Indeed. Although, speaking of our pro drivers, Chong, would you like to take over and tell us about the current standings, if you please?
Yes, here in AM class we have Jordan Brunch with a 16-point lead, and followed by Kat Kizumiri and Kenneth VT and G Fox Foxington and Mentrix Zanes and Kaito Nasa and Saul Ubisha, Ian the Terrible, Dead Player Ente and Neko Kitten rounds out the top 10. In the pro standings, we have Midnight Hurricane leading by just 2 points. We're close fight with Ruby Nekomata right now in second place, followed by Asa the Empire and also Isaac Umbras tying with Biggie Hugs. And below is Lucas Lichten and Omed On and Musong, Ryome Kirihara, and rounding out the top 10 is Karua Masiro. And in the team standings, we still have the Brunch Club having an extremely dominant lead over Vitality Baggy Racing team, and right below that is Phoenix Racing VTuber Academy team. Then we have Technobus Racing USA. Then we have DA Demonetized and Queen's Design Panon Formula and Bottom Boys and Urubaga Racing Team, and rounding up the team standings is X-Ring Spirits.
Rightio then. With our standings taken care of, we now move over into our qualifying session. 20 minutes as we see some of our drivers come out onto the track. Midnight Hurricane from X-Ring Algo VTuber Racing. First out, probably trying to ensure that they get some clean air and can pull out the best time possible in that Porsche 911 GT3. I believe that's 992.
Yes.
Not going to have a similar thing to last week where myself and Jordan Brunch were having moments over which version of the Porsche 911 it was.
I mean, it's a refinement. One's a refinement on the other, isn't it? It's still more or less the same experience, right?
Indeed.
That
Although after you, sorry.
The track GT race was painful for me, to say the least.
Yeah, it wasn't as strong a race for you that last week, but you got to give it the best effort. You know, you got to give it the old college try and give it a go, regardless of what happens.
Yeah. I got a top 10 in pro. I'm taking that over 15 last season.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta
absolutely.
You gotta take what God gives you.
Absolutely, and it's just going to be interesting to see what develops, and if you believe in a chosen deity, what they provide for our VTubers today. As we see Midnight Hurricane here going through the turn 7 hairpin up towards and through the Schumacher S's. It's an interesting little track, this one, isn't it?
It is. Though Midnight's in a bit of an odd situation anyway. She's currently Pro Championship leader, as we established earlier, but with no race wins. Her best race result is second, which she achieved twice.
Yes, it's actually like Super GT, where you can, you know, win a title without winning any races.
It'd certainly be an interesting turn for events if Midnight does manage to do so, though. It looked very loose out of the exit of the NGK chicane there.
Yeah, I think that lap was invalid anyway.
Yeah, allowing her nearest championship rival, Ruby Nekamata, to get ahead of her on track.
With a 154.4 nonetheless to set the bar.
Yeah, now we know that although Ruby is driving for the Brunch Club today, she is known as well for driving for Samantha Tan Racing Esports. So, as we've said before, a lot of us who know Ruby in the community can't help but sort of raise her up a bit, as we know what she's capable of. So, have to see how her and Midnight Hurricane get on with their potential battle today.
Because going into the session, they've got to be each other's targets. They've got to be first and second of the championship.
We do have a couple other laps ups as well, as we see Isaac Umber is currently P3, but with a purple sector 3. As we see Ahmed in the... Oh, what? Oh.
I believe she is racing. I believe she is racing for Technoburst today. I believe that might have just been a misclick on the livery.
I believe that might be the wrong livery. I believe she's still racing for Technoburst.
Yeah, to the best of my knowledge, she is as well. I believe our broadcast cameras had a bit of a moment there, but nonetheless, we are all good. But I met home another very competent driver, new to the series this year, with a 55.082, only 0.6 off Ruby Nekamata for the moment.
And still improving, as so is Ruby Nekamata though, with 0.3 up right now. Might be able to get into the 53s as we speak, going at the final corner.
Indeed.
And what will it be?
Indeed.
54 flat.
54, oh, that's so close. So 54.030. Just so close, but it's a feeling that that's what Ruby's trying to do, get herself a good starting point so she can try and get a small advantage over Midnight Hurricane, who's previous lap was a 55.6. Although, no discredit to any of the other drivers here today, Midnight Hurricane themselves are known to be at least potentially racing in the Chinese Formula 4 series IRL, if I was understanding their social posts previously.
Yep,
So
is.
by no means by no means someone that should has a lack of skill by any stretch, but let's see how things play out today. Although, like you mentioned,
110 improvement too, little improvement, get her into the 54s.
Yeah, 54.980 there from Amet in the Audi. An interesting choice. A car I do enjoy, but one that very few people seem to choose, despite not just because of its glorious V10 motor and drivetrain that's shared with the Lamborghini, but it's also its unique behavior characteristics. Is it something you've ever tried, April?
It's not, no. This is actually one of the cars I'm not very familiar with. I gather it's quite aero heavy, but I really don't know much else about it.
I don't really like the Audi. I like cars that are more stable. Oh,
Yeah.
as we
Speaking of
see, speaking of stable, speaking
Yeah.
of stable.
I'm gonna start tapping my desk now because that that was almost instant after we mentioned stability. Because as we mentioned, as we now switch on to Midnight Hurricane in the Porsche 911, putting herself in with a 54.707. That Audi R8 there of a Met it's a car that maybe I've not driven so much in Assetto Corsa Competizione, but it's a car I have driven a reasonable amount. And the thing with the Audi Lamborghini chassis and drivetrain is that it has a lot of off throttle oversteer, and it's something you have to learn to balance when you're learning the car quite early on. For some people, it really suits their driving style. For others, like you mentioned yourself there, Sean, doesn't quite work for you. But it's a car that I enjoy, and I've usually can make work quite well for myself outside of any unexpected things.
Yes, I do quite like the more stable machinery. I was driving the Porsche actually for last season's TGT, and safe to say I didn't really enjoy it. But next season I'm gonna abuse myself a little bit more by driving something called NXX Evo.
The Honda NSX. I was calling it the Acura last week because I'm too used to the IMSA side of things.
Yeah, iRacing.
Yeah, well, of course, the Competizione being based around the Stefan Rattel organization's rule set, also known in acronym form as the SRO. So, as we see, Zulakara gives somebody ahead a little bit of a flash just to say, just mind out, I'm coming through. Just be aware I'm here.
Zudo, trying to find some improvements as to not be the last pro finisher today. Very sparse pro field today.
Indeed, there is. Can't even count today. 9 pro cars, with the current last place sitting Kagara Mashiro in the number 39 AMG Mercedes GT3. Not the only Mercedes AMG on the field. But yeah, you mentioned stability in cars, and it's the challenging balance to find in any car, regardless as we watch Zul Akihara absolutely clobbering the curbs of the NGK chicane there. Absolutely clobbering the life out of them.
We do see bigger hugs in a new car of choice though, the Bentley.
Indeed, switched out from the Bavarian Motorworks car to a British car of choice, the big Bentley. Unfortunately, no livery showing, but at least we have the all-important number board, so we know who it is. But by no means a car that isn't. By no means a car that is slow, despite its size.
Let's see, I can free cam and see the livery.
Unless it is.
There is no livery to be seen. I'm afraid it's carbon.
Unfortunate. Probably a technical issue on our side. So, We'll have to wait and see. But
I have downloaded
still a
the
good-looking,
liveries.
yeah, but
But
looking car in any respect.
yeah,
It's what we don't so much see in real competition that often very nowadays. But that Bentley, despite its size, and some of the other big front-engine cars, like the Mercedes AMG, like the BMW, I'm trying to think what other front-engine cars we do have. Oh yeah, the Nissan GTR. Speaking of which, our current AM pole sitter, Kat Kisamiri, in the Nissan GTR. An interesting choice for some, but as it's not the newest of GT3s out there, but by all means, putting a solid performance in the AM class. Currently sat with a 157.157 ahead of, forgive me, that
Kubica.
is Kubica, the number 17 BMW.
And then here's our big boy Jordan Brunch in the writer. Currently third in AM class and 11 overall.
Indeed. Jordan was, I believe, leading the championship last I remember.
Yes, and also the team's championship with the Brunch Club.
It's quite a surprisingly powerful combination. Jordan and Ruby. Able potentially looking to maybe take both championships, but we'll have to see how things pan out. Ruby, of course, are very busy with her own racing, but still, even one championship from one of the drivers and the team championship would be nothing to, turn your nose up at, as it were.
Little fun fact about the Bentley though is actually one of the lighter cars. Even though it's physically big, it's actually like really light.
They don't know that. They're a deceptive car anyway. It's a lot faster than you'd expect it to be.
Which is why it kind of has some really good rotation at low speed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one of the challenges with, of course, like the Nürburgring GP Strecker, is that you've got a lot of low mid-speed mechanical corners. So like you've got the entire Mercedes arena from the turn 1 Yokohama S hairpin through turn 4. You got the hairpin of turn 7, but you've also got like high-speed sections like the Schumacher S as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how Biggie and others get their cars throughout the tracks, as we're seeing so far. Midnight Hurricane has, I believe, improved slightly.
Yeah.
Last I saw was a 50. Sorry.
That's alright. About 6 tenths right now behind Ruby Nakamata, so it's a decent improvement. Puts Midnight Hurricane in the 54 club, but still a long way to go to try and snatch a pole away from Ruby.
Yeah, but then again, qualifying is one thing, the race itself is another.
That is true.
Admittedly, it's something I personally struggle with. I've never been very good at qualifying, but race pace and the consistency that your race pace often demands can almost be more important than your qualifying position.
Yeah, consistency is key. That's what they say.
And we also don't award points for qualifying, do we? It's only the race, isn't it?
To the best of yes, indeed, it is. Only, I believe we give a race. Do we still give a point for the fastest lap in the race, or
yes, we do. Yeah.
The fastest lap in the class. Yeah.
Yeah. So it gives chance for both our pro and our AM drivers to show off their best when they're in race conditions. Although it's still an interesting spread of cars. Just noted that quite a few Ferraris this time around, as we switch on to Fabrizia in the BMW there. Currently P2 in AM with a 57.385 at the moment. Both currently up nearly half a second, or they were before that first run through turn 10 and 11 on the Warsteiner curve. Apologies to any resident Germans either watching or our drivers. I have not yet learned German that well, despite having German friends, as we watch them go into the NGK chicane, taking as much advantage of the curbs as you can without unsettling the car. BMW, I know from my personal experience, unless you do something very ridiculous, the car is usually pretty stable. as they come across the line with a 156.8, just taking pole away from Kisamiri there, and putting themselves into the mix, sort of in the lower half of the pro field for that time.
It's only 3 attempts ahead of Kisamuri, but that just goes to show how much 3 attempts can get you sometimes.
Indeed, that's quite a few positions to jump overall. We'll have to see how they manage the race start, assuming that things stay this way. Although with 3 minutes 20 to go, there's still time for a couple of laps to sneak in. Midnight Hurricane's currently up 2 to 3 tenths as they run through the Schumacher S's now. A car ahead of them, couldn't quite see who that was per se. But they are pulling out of the... Oh, maybe not. It's a Lamborghini ahead.
To me.
Indeed. And I do believe, looking at the Delta, that Midnight has pulled out of the qualifying lap, unfortunately. Or maybe not, just hasn't managed to retain the Delta. It's one of the only awkward parts of an open qualifying session, but something we do see in real racing as well. And admittedly, something I personally prefer is that the added complication of others on track means you need to be able to get the best out of your car in awkward circumstances. So unfortunately, because I know that Midnight Hurricane was roughly 2 tenths up on that lap before catching up with Death Player, and
we do see Ruby Nekoma the like sneaking an 8,000 improvement like 2 laps ago, I think.
Yes, a 54.022, really going for those fine margins now.
Really looking for those last 22 thousandths as well. I'm sure she's in that car thinking, I can get a 53. I can
50,
come on.
yeah. You can just imagine we don't have access to her stream, unfortunately, or I'd love to do a picture-in-picture with her permission, of course. But just love to see, just watching and see if she's going like probably just thinking, I can get that 53, I can get that 53. But with like a minute 30 to go, you've got to be able to go out, refuel the car, change your tyres again, get your out lap, and then do a qualifying lap, all before the checkered flag falls. So, looking at those who have pitted, I believe that might be all for now.
For those, yeah, there is not enough time to get around for another lap, so the only people who are going for another lap right now are the ones who are prepared to do it right now.
As we switch on board to the 89 of Musong there. Demonetized AMG GT3, again clobbering the curve of the NGK chicane.
Yeah, really flattening those curbs.
Yeah, although I know from both driving around here in both Seto Corsa's Competizione last season and also in iRacing, is that you need to be careful with those curbs a little bit. There is such a thing as too much send, as it were.
Oh yeah. We've all seen someone get the car off on 2 wheels over those curbs.
Yeah, although others would say, if you're not doing that, are you really driving hard enough?
That is a fair point.
It all depends. It's all, what are you capable? It's all down to the drivers and their unique style of driving.
And just the age-old racing driver skill of pushing the limits, but just the right amount.
Absolutely. We all know it could be a razor's edge.
Oh yeah.
Right, and that is the checkered flag that has fallen. Let's still have a couple of minutes for the drivers that are out there on a fast lap to finish their laps. Currently we have Ruby Nakamata on an out lap, Isaac Umbrus, although 8 tenths up, probably not going to see much of an improvement. Kat Kisamiri currently half a second up. She's probably trying to gain back that pole position in AM from Ibiza as well. So
Kat Kisamiri is invalid though.
Oh, I did not see that on our timing screen. Neko Kitten and Death Player enter.
Only real 2 people with improvement right now is Foxington and Neko Kitten. Oh, clobbering that curb there. A little bit wiggly.
Absolutely, if you do take too many liberties with the BMW, it will. Like with any car, there are limits to everything, and it will
But that will be a second improvement and puts them into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in AM.
Nice. Ooh. Taking to the gravel to, I guess, finish the lap, as it were. Just waiting on Deathplay Entei now. Coming up to the NGK chicane again. We'll see. Yep, just a little bit over the inside curb. Bringing that Lamborghini through the final corner there. Turn 15 hairpin. Onto the start, finish straight, and see if there is any improvement there. There is not. Stays 18th overall. Right. And with qualifying done and out the way with, we shall quickly run down our grid for today. As Porchong manager scrambles to grab the camera and let it play ball. You love the hard work, man. Whoever said commentary and broadcasting is easy, they were lying. Same thing can be said for our driver state, as we see Ruby Nakamata on pole, followed by Midnight Hurricane there. Ford versus Porsche, almost, one could say, almost a historical battle, with the two Mercedes of Isaac Umbras from Technoburst and Mousson from DEA Demonetized lurking behind in third and fourth. Fifth is the Seoul Audi R8 of Ahmet Ohm for Technoburst, and the Seoul Bentley of Biggie Hugs there in P6. P7 overall, and pole in AM is Ubitsia there in the BMW. Zul Akahara in 8th overall. P9 overall, and second in AM is Kat Kisamiri, followed by Amethysta VTube and Kagara Mashiro. Then P3 in the Writer, the only unit, definitely Jordan living up to his name in the Brunch Club and giving himself a bit of a challenge in third in the Writer there, followed by Ubi Diaz alongside, and P13, fourth in AM. P14 is Imatric Zanes in the Ferrari 296, followed by G-Fox Foxington. Then Kaito Nasa for Technoburst. And player Kit. Forgive me, I'm confusing the names of our drivers. I do apologise. Kitten there alongside Death Player Entei, and rounding out the back of the field is Cal Squid, newcomer to this season, and just getting their feet nice and wet, as it were. I had to make some kind of joke for poor Cal. You know, squids live in water, so I had to do something.
No, I respect that. That's a little bit of flavour, doesn't it?
Indeed.
Yeah.
As our drivers start to roll away now around the track, although I always forget how long the GP loop is. Bear with me.
It's roughly 1:55 to 2 minutes kind of lap for the GP striker.
Yes. So 5.14 kilometers according to Wikipedia, or 3.19 miles if you so choose to use Imperial. Although knowing that this is a night race with the current track and air temperature, at least the track state is optimum for drivers, but I'm wondering whether being able to warm up your tyres well enough on this outlap is how crucial that'll be.
Actually, it'll be huge, because just keeping temperature in these tyres. It wouldn't surprise me if there's some cars that spend the entire race just slightly below optimum temperature for the whole race.
ACC is like a little bit more lenient on the cold tires than iRacing and LMU, that kind of stuff, but still important to heat your tires up.
Yeah, any missing temperature is just time left on the table.
Although you don't want to do what I end up doing sometimes and overheating the tyres. But we won't talk about those moments per se, that are left instead.
Now, what I'm curious about though is what Midnight Hurricane's move is going to be on lap 1. Starting on the outside for turn 1, so it's going to be difficult to try and get a move done, but if Ruby really does have that much of a pace advantage over Midnight, like we saw in qualifying, then Midnight's going to have to make a move quick to try and, I guess, just get the fight for the lead started early, just to make sure that it stays going.
Indeed, we know that the Porsche can be strong at certain tracks. We'll have to see whether Midnight can extract the most out of that car and get that nose up alongside and try and take advantage of a potential weak spot from Ruby.
Yeah.
But then again, the same can be said for a lot of other drivers. Who knows? Isaac Umbridge could get one heck of a start and just somehow sneak his way into the lead, but anything is possible at the start of a race.
That is true. Kisamiri is one I'm going to be keeping an eye on as well, because that GTR has a lot of straight line speed, has probably the strongest top speed of this entire field.
As we go double file for the race start, coming up to the NGK chicane as we speak.
Yeah. Ready to start 60-minute sprint race with mandatory pit stop. Round 5 of the Vtracc.eu VTuber challenge. Although hopefully that is just a desync we can see on the left of Isaac Umbridge there, with Musong's car not having their lights enabled. It has happened before where it has just been a server desync, but have to wait and see.
As
Round
we
the final hairpin.
go through the final hairpin, and we will wait for the green light to go. Boogie, boogie, boogie. Let's go racing, guys.
I didn't realise we were watching NASCAR, but indeed, away we go down the hill into the first hairpin there. Difficult braking zone for all. So we see Isaac Umbris looking almost to get inside of Ruby Nakamata, but thinks better of it, but still pulls himself just ahead of Midnight Hurricane's Porsche there, leaving just enough room on the inside for it, as we see that Kaito Nasser was round in turn 1. Hopefully no contact there. We'll see what the replay shows us, as we see the rest of the field mostly behaving themselves as we go through. Was it just a little bit of ambition over adhesion? It was. Kaito, and a bit of nose contact with the inside wall as well. Just very ambitious all over that outside curbing, enough to unsettle the car and send him around on the cold tyres.
It's a little bit further than that. Saw Kaito just take the grass there a little bit as well. Might have been undecided to that first braking zone.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. We see Isaac Umbris dooring Musong there. That was an interesting moment. Probably not intentional. I'd never be the one to assume, although we did see that Midnight Hurricane did regain the position from Isaac Umbris. If we are... No, did not. Wait, I'm getting lost with so much all the action that's happening here. Musong is off there. Musong tight on the inside there. Some wide and Biggie hugs just off the curb and just clips them and clips the rear of Musong's Mercedes AMG.
Ferrari.
Another Ferrari caught in the mix for good measure. Jeez. Perhaps the darkness around the
maybe
the ride
no,
is
maybe it was
out.
Jordan Brunch. Actually, it was Jordan Brunch.
Indeed, we do see Jordan Brunch dropping down the field as we speak. Well, it's a very spicy outlap start of the race here. By no means any of this stuff intentional, but a lot of our drivers still fairly close together. The challenge of the straights and the corners really causing the field to check up and maybe find each other foul, as we Musong looking for a move, as we see, the Lamborghini there of... Who was that? Just completely missing their brake.
That's UBDs, actually. Let's see what happened there.
Just completely... Did they just lose their brake marker there? Just straight into the Ferrari there.
Abdul Akihara.
Might have just been unsighted on the braking markers, or the car in between the
No, it wasn't
markers.
Abdul. I think it was Kaito, actually. Yeah, Kaito, after that lap 1 liter excursion, and now they have to take another beating to speak of. Not a good start for them today.
No, it's a disaster all again for Kaito Nasser. As I've said in previous races, if you need to... Racing is an ever-changing mix of skill, luck, and experience, and luck does not seem to be on Kaito Nasser's side. Just is humongous efforts there to try and work on the other two. But then again, hopefully the damage is not too terrible and gives Kaito a chance to recover to high positions later on. But with a 60-minute sprint, it will be rather challenging. Ooh, as we see more confusion there between Zul Akihara there, the BMW of Ubitsia and Kat Casemiro there fighting side by side for the lead in AM, while Zul's trying to now update to Pro, and a little bit of contact behind, and there's a little concertina there, accordion effect into the NGK chicane there between multiple cars. Goodness me.
Casemiro got the worst of that. It is now off the grass. And just...
Indeed.
Yeah.
Chaotic start to this race.
Very, yeah.
I'm really thinking that the darkness has really caught our drivers unawares.
It's really getting hectic at like the midfield at the moment.
Indeed. So where the Pro and the Anfields are merging, it's just reluctant to say it, but starting to seem like a bit of a war zone almost. It's battles all around. Cars change position. There's contacts galore. Not ideal, but hopefully the drivers will sort themselves out in due course. We see Amethyst of VTube in another portion line 11 going up the inside there of I believe that is Ubidius.
That's that player NC.
A death player NC. I was getting everybody confused today. I do apologise to our drivers.
It's alright, I made that mistake earlier as well. I guess it just comes with the mayhem that we've seen so far.
Indeed.
A lot of cars moving up and down the field.
Indeed. Although one small bonus for Cal Squid as we ride on board in the Bottom Boys 296 GT3. On their own today, there's no Ian in the Ford Mustang GT3 this time round. Despite the chaos, they've managed to gain a few positions and are now up into P5 in AM. Lord, it's a chaotic start there.
Yeah, you need all the attrition in the world for this race, basically. Yeah.
Going into this, there was part of me that was wishing we were doing the Nordschleife instead, but maybe it's for the best
Yeah,
we're doing this
Vtracc
instead.
came to Nordschleife last season, and it was chaos.
It was, admittedly, it was absolute chaos. It was. Like, I adore the track. I have raced the Nords quite a few times in iRacing, and God, I'm going to sound like I'm blowing smoke up myself here, but I do technically have a class win for last year's iRacing Nürburgring 24-hour in touring car. But
oh, very nice. Congrats.
These are not touring cars, these are GT3s. Different kind of challenge entirely to the front-wheel drive Hyundai that I was facing. As we're riding on board with Neko Kitten in the BMW M4 GT3, a car that I'll admit I know and love quite a lot. Maybe not the fastest in any particular area, but a very strong all-round car, able to take advantage of things with if the driver knows how to extract the best out of it. Just currently sat there P3 in AM at the moment. All three BMWs in the field are line astern, conveniently enough. Ubitsia in the 17, G-Fox in the 66, and Neko Kitten in the 15. It's quite a rare occurrence there, seeing cars line astern, but we see Amethyst of VTube looking for a move round the outside into... what corner is that? Forgive me. And then, ooh, maybe Amethyst just catching out Neko Kitten a little bit there in the Warsteiner curve of turn 11. Onto the long back straight with the 12 Advan Bogan kink, as it were. And, oh, Kagura Mashiro very loose there. Was there contact between themselves and Death Player Enter there? Or was it just the Mercedes AMG getting a little loose?
Yeah, yeah, the Mercedes is known to be a little loose on corner exit, mostly because of its NA nature and that big V8 engine, V8 motor, if we shall say.
Indeed, I know it's something that our current, one of the other drivers, Isaac in the field, Isaac Umbris, loves very much. Kari knows very well, as we see Kagura Mashiro taking the overall position of P13 away, P12 rather, from Death Player Entei, but still currently last of the field. Oh, as we see, Midnight Hurricane has left the session.
No.
I believe they have disconnected.
No, it's
dis-
Ruby, not Midnight.
Oh, it's Ruby that's disconnected. Goodness me. Hopefully that's just a brief blip and not an actual game or network crash.
Yeah.
Oh no, Ruby is back.
Yeah, Ruby is back, it seems. But in the pit, so it was a disconnect.
Ah,
Oh
I
no.
did count.
Oh no. Oh dearie no.
That's gonna be a massive disappointment for Ruby.
Yeah, cause it's like 2 minutes, 3 minutes in the pits, and you're like a lap down by then. So
Indeed.
really unfortunate.
And I did check the other platforms that exist out there and did see that Ruby's stream has unfortunately ended, so I do believe that must have been a network or power disconnect for Ruby Nakamata there. Really unfortunate to see.
As we
That
see
does allow...
iMatrix just out there in the world, we will need to see what happened there.
Indeed, it's...
So you're just slowly running across the grass there. Doesn't look too dramatic.
Maybe
Yeah.
with something on their end, as we also see a yellow flag for Foxington. We need to check that later too.
Definitely seems to be one heck of a race today.
Yeah, one heck of a race today for a lot of people.
Indeed.
We need to look at Foxington.
Yeah, what happens here with G-Fox? Oh. Well, the one thing I did notice that we still have a qualifying banner up. But we, despite all this is our race session today.
Yes,
Hey, there we go.
It is a little bit chaotic today, so maybe it forgot to change it in the midst of all the chaos. So
Well,
That's right.
This is by no means an insult. You are multitasking. You are
It does
commentating
happen.
and doing the production work for us, exactly.
It does happen. Yes, it does happen.
Yeah, it's alright. We are only human, and we wouldn't have anybody else. Well, we wouldn't have it any other way. Although, really unfortunate for Ruby Nakamata there. Well, that does give Midnight, in theory, outside of any touch wood, any other shenanigans, as we see Cow Squid all over the rear of Death Player Enter there. Maybe sizing up a move, or maybe just trying to play the old, just play a little bit of a game with the Lamborghini driver.
Just try and get close, put a bit of pressure on, and hope for a mistake.
Squid
yeah.
Games too. I'm sorry.
I can't believe I didn't even think of that one. Goodness me, indeed. Cal potentially playing the Squid Games here with the rest, with Death Player Enter there.
Well motivated though. That would be a move for third if Carl Squid can get in there and have a go.
Indeed, as we obviously with indeed, yeah, because G-Fox has obviously dropped out of the 1, 2, 3 they had with Abitia and Neko Kitten.
That's right.
So yeah, I was probably wondering what else we missed here with switch between cars and drivers. We see Kagaramashu all over the rear of the BMW of Neko Kitten there.
And also moves on right next to Biggie Hugs.
Oh, trying the
After
two.
that little lap 1 incident between the both of them.
Indeed. Indeed, one for the stewards to take their cast their eye over for sure, but again, I'm not a steward. I do not make such decisions. Biggie there trying to make that Bentley almost as wide as the Mercedes AMG there.
As we already see
Just
a couple
doing enough.
people pitting, like Jordan and Mentrix.
Yeah, I do not know why Mentrix... We do not know what happened to Mentrix during the race, as to why they pit in such an awkward manner.
Had that little like off before, like just went into the wall.
Potentially, although
Slowly.
Ruby Nakamata has rejoined the session, albeit all the way in P18
Nearly
now.
1 lap down, actually. Nearly 1 lap down.
Yeah,
Actually, she is 1 lap down.
Yeah. So that's going to be one heck of a challenge for Ruby to recover within 60 minutes and the mandatory pit stop.
She is also 2 laps down on the leaders, Midnight Hurricane, Omid, and Isaac. So. As Amethyst is looking to recoup a position, and I believe they do it without too much incident, which is good.
From what we can tell in the cameras in the dark here, that was a clean move by Amethyst to take P7th overall.
There's Mashiro and Neko Kittens side by side into turn 1.
Indeed. Mashiro still looking for a move there on the BMW. Just slightly pushes out Neko Kitten a little bit wide, but Neko Kitten stays tight throughout the rest of the Mercedes arena there. Bit of advantage. Musong may be looking for a move as Neko Kitten goes very deep into turn 3 and 4. Really compromising their exit. And the run down to turn 5.
Seems to suffer all of Mashiro's momentum there as well. He's good defending from Kitten, but it's still kind of strange to see this kind of defense between Pro and an AM driver.
Indeed, although racing drivers will be racing drivers, they will fight no matter what, even if it does not make much sense.
That is very true.
I've been guilty of it, I'm sure you two have been guilty of it yourselves. Sometimes it's just a case of like, no, I have the pace, I need this track position.
That's true,
And that's what we're seeing from Kagara Mashiro, trying to take advantage of the pace they do have and get past Neko Kitten. Although that BMW is known to be pretty wide when it wants to be. Because I'm seeing Mashiro's driving and they really are pushing that Mercedes AMG to its limits all over the curbing. Car looking very unstable in places. I'd almost wonder if they're pushing maybe a tiny bit too hard at the moment.
I was thinking that we've seen that tail end kick out quite a few times just on the stop alone.
Oh, as we have received communication that Mentrix had a game crash, maybe that's why he had that little off at the hairpin.
Oh,
that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate for Mentrix. I'm Mentrix Zane's, known of course for the Racing VTuber clips compilations available on YouTube, and stalwart of the community, much loved by many. Never could think of a bad word to say about him, and I think any of the VTubers in the community always appreciate his efforts for the funny little videos and collations that he creates.
Yep, he always cooks and he always delivers.
Absolutely. Although now the race is 15 minutes and the race has definitely started to calm down a bit. Gaps between some of the drivers really sort of just stabilizing and starting to just find their spot in the race as it stands. Although, as you said, like couple of drivers, G-Fox Foxington and Jordan Brunch have pit already, as we see also Zul Akihara and Kaito Nasa into the pits as well, taking their stops rather early. I would assume damage repairs from the earlier incidents.
Yeah, especially for Zul and some other drivers too, like Kaito Nasa.
Indeed. We'll have to see how they manage on the long runs there. But riding with Ubi Diaz, very pushing the limits there in the Schumacher S's with that Lamborghini into turn 10 and 11. The Vorsteiner curve onto the long back straight. Although another driver trying to make up positions from the earlier chaos is Kat Kisamiri, previously on pole in AM, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. Currently sat in P5 in AM after the earlier accordion effect into the NGK chicane.
Good recovery so far though, back up to 5th.
I believe Ubitia was pole in M. Yeah.
Oh. I was corrected. Me making silly mistakes again. Forgive me.
It's alright.
But still, it's Kat had a very good qualifying there in that Nissan GTR. Car that she seems to meld with very well, because we've talked about this earlier in both qualifying and previously at the start of the race, is that different cars will suit different drivers, and clearly the Nissan GTR, with its admitted straight line advantage, is working very well for Kat Kisimiri there. Maybe some limitations on the corners, but
Yeah,
managing the
it's
strengths
a
and weaknesses of that Nissan
It's a
GTR very well. Yeah, very good under braking though from Kisimiri there on Death Player Ente in the Lamborghini. Although looking,
That's the strange thing about the GTR, actually. It is really good in a straight line, just in both directions. It brakes really well. It is just that mid-corner speed that's lacking on it.
indeed, although looking at the lap times, the previous last, sorry, yeah, wait, I'm registering the best lap time. Apologies. Looking at the lap delta between the two, Kat is over a second a bit faster than Death Player Ente, but as we all know, catching is one thing, passing it is another. So we'll have to see how Kat manages to get past them as we see Kagara Mashiro into the pits, another one with an early-ish stop. Normally, most drivers tend to fuel their cars to bang on halfway in our 60-minute sprint races, as you can equalise the tyre life depending on how the first stint goes. But seeing as so many of the drivers from like P5 down to P15 were caught up in lap 1 incidents, perhaps it is those that are just managing cars, their respective damage, as we see, I believe that was Ubi Diaz going a little bit wide behind Kat in the background. So they're still following on with Death Player Ente, trying to size up a move and just close the gap, find the advantage, and just squeeze on past as we switch to Jordan Brunch in the writer of the Brunch Club.
trying to unlap actually Lambo versus Lambo battle, but two very different generations.
Indeed, although Jordan, I believe, pitted very early on due to that damage, so
Yeah,
have to see. As Jordan is on, I'd imagine that Jordan would be on the long run now.
Yep.
Because of the earlier pit stop. Looking at that delta between these two cars again, it's not much between them actually. I believe their last lap was a bit misinforms me a little bit. Between Kat Kisimiri and Death Player Ente. A bit of a Lamborghini sandwich there with
The GTR filling.
Indeed. I believe that's him. Who's that chasing, following behind them? Is that the writer?
yes,
That is
it is the
Jordan's
writer
writer, isn't
of
it?
Jordan Brunch.
Ah, yes.
Ah,
That
I was wondering, I was looking at the timing screen, being a little confused.
that little VR 38 something in the GTR being drowned out by the absolute monsters, the V10 of the Lamborghinis here.
Yeah. That twin turbo VR38 versus the Raw. I believe that is the find the engine model.
see videos there as well, just taking out the pit boards.
Oh, taking out the pit boards, interesting.
Hopefully just a little accident rather than anything malicious, and would never be one to assume.
Oh, I'm sure it was just an accident, just unsighted
Yeah.
to turn 1 or something, yeah.
Oh, as Cat overtakes. Still side by side with Ubi Diaz though, through the little left-right section into the hairpin, and it looks like Cat has made the move, and that has left
Indeed.
them wide open for Ubi Diaz and Jordan Brunch to unlap them. We might see a Lamborghini 3 wide here though, as we go to the hairpin. Not really.
Not quite. Death Player Ente taking the tighter inside line, the UBD is taking a wider line, and Brunch following close behind, still looking to unlap himself, but it would be interesting to see whether Jordan really wants to push his advantage on the longer run just yet, given that the other cars ahead still have to pit and take their stop. I guess one would argue is, why would you not push to bring down the delta? That way when they take their pit stop, you can get the advantage.
It's not just that, the tyres on Jordan Bunch's car are fresh right now. So a lot fresher than everyone around him, so probably want to try and make the most of that pace, but it's difficult to when you're following someone.
Yeah, as we see Jordan giving the cars the two other Lamborghinis ahead the old razzle dazzle with the flashes.
The old razzle dazzle, I like that.
Yeah. Well, we all. Which professional racing driver had a series of video tweets that they made about the race driver thing? Oh, so a brief server moment.
As we have a team accident. Team accident between Dead Player Anti and Ubi Diaz. Really
there was further team.
There.
Indeed, hopefully our replay can wind that back for us. Fortunate into turn one of the most challenging braking zones on a downhill into a hairpin. You couldn't possibly ask more from your tyres. Let's see, will our cameras catch just what we need to see? We see the 53 going first, followed by the other Lamborghini, and just a little bit of rear and front contact there between the two drivers.
Yeah.
I believe that the offending car did pull over and allow the other Deathplate Entei to retake the position, but contact between teammates is never something you want. They do say that your teammate is your first rival, but at the same time, you don't want to be driving into them. See, Ruby Nakamata sneaking through just to try and unlap herself.
Still 2 laps to go.
Indeed, Ruby's slowly making her way up and trying to launch as strong a recovery as she can. Although due to that unfortunate disconnect and PC crash, that has
we go back to the top for once though, we do see Ahmed catching up to Midnight Hurricane.
Indeed, so maybe Midnight's current lead is not as safe as they perhaps thought. Ahmed, again, new to the series, but already a very competent and fast driver. So see whether the two German marks that we see here can fight for the lead. Oh, as Ahmed is very loose all over the exit, curbing there into turn 10.
It looks like the kind of mistake you make when you're a little bit too enthusiastic about just keeping up your momentum.
Indeed, as we switch to a replay quickly of something.
Neko Kitten having a little bit of an accident somewhere.
Indeed. Oh, just completely missing their braking zone into T1 and... Oh, please stop and... Oh, hard contact with the wall there with the front left. Really hope that hasn't bent their suspension, because that must have been going in there in at least 100 kilometers an hour.
I will be shocked if there's not suspension damage on that car.
Yeah, I will have a look at the... Yep, she's RTC.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've just towed to the garage.
As Ahmed actually goes in for the pit stop too.
Indeed. Maybe wanting to see if the undercut can be of any use to Ahmed around here. Considering they were catching Midnight Hurricane.
And we see Biggie Hugs though catching up to Busan.
Indeed, these two having an earlier battle and a little bit of contact, but Biggie Hugs in that Bentley just biding his time behind the Mercedes AMG, not wanting to, incite any further incidents, as it were. But it's one of those things, patience can be a virtue, given how long the race is. Do you want to wait now and just take it easy, or do you want to push and find a way past? And one would argue we'll have to see who blinks first if they come around for their pit stops this time by. Through the left, then the right of turn 10 in 11. 11 the Vorsteiner curve. Onto the long back straights. First down the hill. But no, forgive me, I'm looking at the wrong part of the track for Biggie Hugs. We are going into the turn 7 hairpin. I do apologise. It's the turns of 5 and 6 that I was getting confused for. Run back up the hill through the Schumacher. This is a very surprisingly technical corner. Maybe in heavier downforce cars, not so much of a challenge, but in the GT3s, you are riding that edge between mechanical and aero grip. Now we're in the turn 10 and 11 Borsteiner curve towards the back straight. Goodness me. I may have raced this track quite a few times and done quite a few laps, but I'll be damned if I can remember what corner it is.
Well, then hell, it's also dark as well. Some of these corners you just don't recognize until it's at the right angle.
Absolutely.
A little bit too much speed into the chicane there as well for Biggie Hugs.
Compromising a little bit of time on exit maybe, but neither of them choosing to pit this time by as Midnight Hurricane comes into the pits, promoting Isaac Umbras into the lead, at least for the short time. I'll have to see whether Isaac chooses to pit this lap or whether he's going for a bit of a longer one. But still staying on board currently with Biggie Hugs and Musong, both now promoted up to P2 and 3 respectively. Just waiting for these, mainly this top half of the field that hasn't pitted.
I wonder if it's more likely that Ahmet Ohm and Midnight Hurricane are looking at each other here. Midnight Hurricane might have been planning to stop at the halfway point anyway, but stopping now also minimizes any undercut that Ahmet Ohm could make the most of.
Indeed. Just on my screen, we don't have a picture-in-picture view, unfortunately. I have noticed that Ahmet Ohm is just going past the start-finish straight, down past pit exit, and has, I believe, taken the position from Midnight Hurricane, potentially.
Yes, that is a successful undercut from Omid.
The strategy game's playing out. Sometimes if you don't have...
Actually, Midnight may be repairing some damage as she is in the pits for a little bit longer than usual. Yeah, oh, that Porsche is clobbered. I wonder what happened.
Yeah,
may need to have a look post-race because we didn't really see anything already in the broadcast or even a yellow flag.
Indeed, that car is looking a lot more damaged than it perhaps did in the previous views, but in the dark it's hard to see exactly what could be hiding underneath the chassis. That Porsche 911. Yeah, that does allow Midnight Hurricane to come back out field. I believe they are in P6 overall, 5th currently in Pro, as we do have Kat Kisimiri ahead in P5. Back in the lead of, well, in the lead of the AM class at the moment, yet to take their pit stop, however. I have to see how soon it is because Isaac has now come in for his pit stop there. 722 Technoburst Mercedes. Musong, I believe, is still carrying on, as is Biggie Hugs. I believe these two either must be trying to pit together to keep their battle as close as possible. This is going to be a battle in the pit lane, which is something you don't normally expect with racing, but it's still part of the racing surface, as it were.
Kagura Mashiro might be trying to hold up Bigger Hugs to the teammates helping each other out, I guess. Although Bigger Hugs seems to have gotten past.
Indeed. Which, yes, that is the... No, that is Musong that has...
As we see Mentrix having a little incident. We'll see what happens.
So Mentrix has returned to the track, but yeah, hopefully there wasn't any untoward blocking, as that's something that no steward ever looked kindly upon. There's a line between teammate blocking and, you know, what could be said active blocking. Mentrix just touching the inside curb. Very good job by the pair of them, both Mentrix and Ruby Nekomata there, to not have any contact between them. It's unfortunate Mentrix had a game crash and probably just trying to finish the race, bring the race to its fruition now. But that was good work by the pair of them to not have any further contact, but just that little bit too much of the inside curb of that turn 1 hairpin at those low speeds, at the angle, just enough.
As Musong actually pits.
Indeed.
He hugs out.
And
in the
Biggie
lead
going
currently.
for the long run as he did in Zolder, and that's how he managed to get P3. So maybe he's trying to recreate that.
Potentially.
Tell you what I wasn't expecting though, Isaac Umbra is coming out of the pits in front of Ahmet Ohm.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
maybe
quite a
Omet,
surprise.
maybe Omet has to repair some damage too.
Indeed, there was a lot of contact between the cars at the opening laps of the race, so yeah, it's been a really interesting one here. Although
Yeah.
looking at the delta between the two, there's only 1.5 seconds between Umbrus and Amet. That the two Technoburst drivers, the quote-unquote senior USA driver, and then the other Technoburst driver. You'll have to forgive our timing and overlays, as Amet, I believe, is technically on the right livery at the moment. As far as we're aware, anyway, unless we've been misinformed. But yeah, be an interesting one to see if the two Technoburst drivers play any team games, but it also depends on how close Moose Song and Midnight Hurricane are as the following 25 minutes roll on by.
I do not believe Midnight Hurricane will be a threat unless something else happens to these two as well, because Midnight Hurricane is currently just about 50 seconds behind the two.
Yeah, quite a big delta for Midnight to make up, although I suppose with the damage that was seen on that Porsche 911 992, more than enough of a reason to take the repairs if the car's performance was struggling that significantly. Although, as it stands, another interesting shake-up in the Anfield. Babitsia there, the number 17 BMW, is currently leading for the... Forgive me, which team is that? My eyes are playing tricks on me today. Exo team. And with Cal Squid in P2, as it stands. Also, that's after all the pit stops, but I suppose with the chaos that went on with the earlier race and Cal managing to keep that Ferrari 296 fairly clean for the time being, perhaps the Squid Games are playing out.
Perhaps.
We're stealing that one from now on.
Oh, naturally, yeah.
Yeah.
Did we just see Cal Squid getting sideways there out of the arena section as well?
Possibly. It's a car that the Ferrari 296, again, it's not a car that I personally have a great deal of confidence in.
No,
But
sure.
it's personal preference, of course.
It is a strange one, I'll give you that.
Yeah. As we see Ruby Nakamata coming in to serve her mandatory pit stop. Due to the disconnection, her getting returned to the garage did not count as serving her earlier pit stop. So just doing what she needs to do just to appease the stewards, as it were.
No doubt spending this 30-second tire chain. Damned about that.
In the meantime, though, Omet has overtaken Isaac Umbras back for the lead.
Yeah, there was quite a pace difference between the two. Roughly just over a second between the Audi and Mercedes AMG. So these two Technoburst drivers playing the smarter option, as it were. They've got roughly a 14-second delta to Musong there. Biggie Hugs is obviously going for the long run and will be pitting at some point in the next 15 minutes. So we see the BMW there.
Probably just lapping.
Yeah, it's just trying to pass the BMW there. I believe that was Neko Kitten. Been a challenging one all round for this race here. Although Kagara Mashiro returning to the pits for a second time. Did they forget to fuel, or is there other shenanigans involved? Potentially something I've missed because I've not been keeping up best control of things to hold my eye on things.
I mean, it doesn't look damaged, so...
I don't
Indeed.
think they're at a pit stall either.
No, I don't believe the pit stalls are usually that early.
I don't think they're at
So
the
that's a
pit
weird
stalls
one.
either, so that must be some fuel issues. Well, I don't know. Maybe a
Or maybe
technical issue.
Strange.
Exactly. Yeah. None of us here in the broadcast booth would ever wish ill on any of our competitors, but by all means we do wish to at least be made aware of the events going on.
I mean, it's a bit difficult though, isn't it? These drivers are all preoccupied with trying to run a race, so kind of makes sense that we're not the first person they message sat there in the pit lane texting us when something goes wrong. Of course they're not.
Yeah.
As we see another inter-class battle between, you know, Ubitcher and Amethyst, but currently being sort of broken up by Ruby, just trying to lap them right now. Unlap, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, Ruby still on that recovery drive from the earlier disconnects and unfortunate technical issues that Ruby has faced today. Ooh, as we have a little bit of a network spike again. Apologies for our viewers for that one. It's not something we can directly control. It's a miracle of science that our the game's workers, they do in any case, let alone allowing us to race side by side. As Biggie Hugs is finally taking their pit stop, just noticed. But yeah, Axolotl Ubitia currently running lead in AM, and that should promote Ohm into the lead as it stands, and also Isaac Umbrus up into P2. But let's see, will Biggie Hugs come out the pit lane soon enough before Musong is able to come past, as we see as Musong is just passing the start-finish in the pit entry now, so no. The overcut hasn't quite worked in Biggie's favour this time by. As Biggie Song... I'm getting everybody's names mixed up now, I do apologise.
Biggie Song.
Goodness me, God, it's like so now I'm making it sound like some kind of rap duo or something. Goodness me, I'm making a hash of things. Apologies to our drivers and viewers. But yeah, maybe the strategy not working as Biggie intended, I think. But we'll have to see, because there's still 19 minutes to go, and there's all of our drivers here are technically human beings, I suppose.
Technically.
Technically speaking, I guess. Mistakes can happen, not that I'd ever wish them upon anybody. Goodness me, I just spotted the difference between Amet Ohm and Isaac Umbra. She's already got nearly a 4-second lead. Roughly nearly like 8-9 tenths a lap faster than Isaac Umbra. Good lord, that's terrifying.
In the Audi, nonetheless.
Yeah. Like I was saying earlier, in the right hands, in the right conditions, the Audi is a very competitive car. Just needed the driver to understand, know how to manage its tendencies, like with any car. Because I know that I was saying earlier that I personally am not the biggest fan of the Ferrari 296 due to its very understeery. I find the front end maybe a bit too understeery for my liking, and the rear a bit snappy suddenly. Oh, hopefully that wasn't a snap, or maybe just a bit too much throttle from Amet Ohm there.
Well, it's definitely a little bit too much curb there, so it still seems like Amet Ohm's got a little bit too much enthusiasm going on here.
Potentially, with a 5-second gap, she needn't be asking too much of the car. Obviously, keep being mindful of the surroundings and the rest of the race, but no real need to really push the limits, as it were. As Ruby Nakamata currently has the fastest race lap of 54.140, so although Ruby may have been hounded by technical difficulties today and was able to return to the track, by no means is she letting things lie, as it were.
No, although this is their recovery drive, she's still very much out there trying to make a statement, isn't she?
Absolutely. Although still no news as to why Kagara Mashiro pulled over and returned to the pit lane, because they are still sat not in a pit stall, as it were.
Yeah,
I
maybe some
believe
technical problems, and they're just trying to put it in a safer place than, say, in the middle of the track.
I mean, being stopped that long, it must be, right?
Yeah, that must have been something unfortunate that happened.
see Jordan Brunch here actually catching up to Kaito Nasa.
Yeah, more recovery drives from the rest of the a lot of recovery drives, as it were, for some of our drivers today. Jordan Brunch being one of them. Admittedly, he challenged himself to the ride for a bit of fun, and I believe also for charity, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it would have been a challenging race for all and not ideal for some.
I mean, it has been challenging. We've seen it go wrong for a fair few people now in quite a variety of ways.
Yeah, it's the clock ticks down. 15 minutes to go. All drivers have. Wait, no, I didn't realise that. Neko Kitten has not taken their pit stop.
Interesting.
Weird. I just noticed that on our interface. Yeah, hopefully they remember to take their pit stop, or they haven't taken it too early, because that could spell disaster. Because one thing I've also found out is if you pit before the window opens, that it does not count as you serving the mandatory pit stop.
Yeah, that's true.
I know I've been caught out for that one a few times in changeable conditions.
As Jordan looks like he has overtaken Kaito.
Yeah. But Jordan is... Yeah, Kaito, I guess, still just turning the laps, learning what they can from the car and the track, and putting it in their back pocket maybe for the final round in 2 weeks' time. I forget where we are going for our final round of Vtracc.
I believe it will be Monza.
Yep, that's true. It's Monza.
Yes, the Temple of Speed.
And the Temple of T1 tomfoolery, yes.
For the sake of our drivers, I hope not. But you can't predict anything in racing.
No.
We've seen it both in sim racing and real racing in myriad of sports, and I'm forgetting my words today. Forgive me. Many different types of racing, but yeah.
Yeah, the last time I was at Monza, I qualified on pole position, and then someone just completely annihilated my rear end and sent me to the everlasting hell known as last place.
Yeah, admittedly, some tracks do have a reputation more than others, but again, there's no guarantees, either good or bad, in racing.
And to add insult to injury, they were disqualified by the game for speeding in the pit lane.
Yes, indeed. I know that one myself all too well. I'm guilty of that myself here last season when we were running at the North.
One race I was actually glad where I got disqualified for speeding in the pit lane. IVGTC Season 6. People, those who know will know. Those who know will know what I'm talking about. One fateful day at Imola.
Yeah, but all you can do is take what you like with our other many drivers here today. Those that have been caught up in incidents and have maybe not had the race that they really wanted. All they can do is take what they know, learn from it, and hopefully use it in the next race. It's 12 minutes to go. Most things seem pretty stable, but don't count your proverbial chickens just yet, as Neko Kitten still not having taken their mandatory pit stop, which I believe does result in a disqualification.
Or maybe a penalty. Forgot what ACC did in that case.
Well, hopefully we won't find out.
Good time for a grid rundown though, as in P1 we have Omed Ohm. In P2, as we were watching, Isaac Umbras. P3 Moo Song, and P4 is Biggie Hugs. behind is Midnight Hurricane after repairing some pretty hefty damage. And in P6 is Amethysta in what is a pretty solid outing for them. And Ubitia trying to take their first M-Class win of the season. And then Zu Akihara just right behind them. Then Cow Squid in P2 in M-Class, 9 overall. Solid finish for them today. And in 10 overall is Kat Kisamiri rounding out the AM podium. Then we have Dead Player Ante, G Fox Foxington, Ubi Diaz, and Mr. Jordan Brake Failure here, and Kaito Nasa, and Rubo Nekotakwa, yes.
You can't help yourself with these little jokes within the wider sim racing community, can you?
And then
Yeah.
Neko Kitten, and then rounding out the M field is Imantrix Zanes, and then we have Masiros rounding out the field, still in the pits, not in the pit stall.
Yeah, still unsure as to why they stopped where they have, as they're not in a pit stall, as it were. Stall. God, I can't speak today.
What time this is going on? I am just keeping an eye on Ruby's timing because her fastest lap is now at 54.0. It is 400ths behind her qualifying time.
Yeah.
Good lord above.
I can't but wonder if that target of a 53 is back on for Ruby right now.
I'm pretty sure it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case.
I mean, what else is she going to do at this point, right?
Absolutely. If she can't make a statement by winning the race, at least she can do is show her pace.
Exactly.
And she is doing that rather well, having the fastest lap by quite a big margin, 0.8 of a second.
Oh yeah.
Like nearly 0.8 of a second. Yeah.
Yeah.
There is something satisfying about seeing a Mustang joining the GT3 field as well.
Yeah. Although, maybe in future it won't just be the GT3 field that we'll see the Mustang in.
Oh, we're getting a GT4 one as well.
No, there have been rumours that Ford might be joining the topmost prototype class.
Yes,
Oh.
they are
In the near
doing
future.
that along with Genesis, I think. Yeah, Genesis.
Yeah.
Genesis is confirmed, but I think Ford is still rumor. I think. Might be outdated on that one. So.
Indeed.
Exciting time to be a racing fan for sure.
Yeah, I'd say some may malign certain parts of certain series, but for certain technical things, for example, balance of performance, a phrase that some will love, others will hate, and some will be indifferent on the matter. But by all means, I will say that from what I have seen with some racing, it allows a variety of different cars to race close together. As we see both in real motorsport, but also here as well. Where else would you find multiple different German marques, a couple of Italian cars, and the sole American chassis able to race together?
Yeah, I do love the Forza Motorsport BOP because where else are you gonna see a GT4 and a Ferrari Challenge doing literally the same lap times? Where else are you gonna see that? Not here, not in ACC.
No, but with Forza Motorsport, I believe it's its own thing.
And also
so
Gran Turismo 7.
Yeah, those two are not ones I'm well educated on, so I tend not to comment on those. But from what I know with like GT3s, like again, the Nissan GTR, it's a car that's not raced in popular competition nowadays, but still able to keep up with the likes of the more modern, more advanced, and more aerodynamically complex later GT3 models like the leading Audi R8 V10 GT3 Evo of Met Ohm.
Evo 2 even.
Evo 2, technically. Goodness me.
Yeah,
So many
the
different variants.
original Audi is, as we see Biggie Hugs having a little spin there. We
Oh,
have to see what happened there.
was that just a little bit of look, just missing the brake market into the final corner? We actually go around the final hairpin onto the start-finish straight. Close by
Hopefully there isn't
beside the
contact. Hopefully there isn't contact.
yeah, alongside I believe that's Ubitia there. Was it just a misunderstanding? And there was contact between the two. Unfortunate contact there is the BMW on the outside. Not too sure if that was ex-little Ubitia or not. Not too sure if it was.
I think it was Neko Kitten, as it was the number 15 BMW.
I missed that on the screen. Yeah, if that was the case, and that was just a bit of unfortunate contact between the two.
Yeah, Neko Kitten. Oh, as the pit window closes, and I don't think Neko Kitten can pit anymore to clear the number 1 there, indicating that still need to do a pit stop.
Yeah, indeed, Nakagita has taken the mandatory pit stop, but I believe in their current position, that's probably not their ultimate concern, one would assume.
As in the midst of all that, Ruby Nekomata passes Foxington. And
yeah, I believe that was contact between Ubi Diaz and G Fox Foxington there, as both cars were slow out of that corner.
Yeah, let's
Have
see
to
what happened
see
there.
what did we miss. Just going
Oh,
round.
Ruby Nekomata has a yellow flag too, but we need to wait for the replay to be over.
Indeed, it sounds like there's more chaos between that latter half of the field there. Still waiting for our replay, and there was contact between Ubi Diaz and the BMW G Fox Foxington there.
Yeah, we gotta wait for the replay to be over, and here we
Ubi
are.
Diaz.
Yeah.
Sorry.
As we
see, just clip.
Yeah,
just catch the clipping there.
Just clip that there.
We're trying to talk to each other. We do apologise, ladies and gentlemen, those that know better. As we see Ruby Nekomata, they're coming around the hairpin, probably unawares of the chaos that's happened into what I believe might have been the Schumacher S's. What looked like the Lamborghini just had their nose slightly too close to the rear there.
I believe
of the BMW.
It was just a little slight spin though, and not like hitting the wall or something. As you can see, she's still going. Just had to re-overtake Kaito Nasa.
Yeah. Apologies for not having the best view of events there. It's a bit chaotic sometimes.
Yeah, it's a little bit chaotic. Oh, as I believe Omet has lost like 5 seconds and Isaac Umbris is right back up. I wonder what happened there.
Maybe Omet had a bit of a spin.
I think
maybe a little.
Let's do a little longer replay. Let's do a 1-minute replay to see what Omet was doing.
Yeah, and whilst you're doing that, I shall keep an eye on the circumstances. Yeah, yep, a little bit too much gravel in that. And
well held. Well held.
Goodness me. Very good car control from Met Ohm there, all over the gravel and curbing of the Schumacher S's there. Very good job to keep that car pointing in a mostly straight direction despite the rear of that Audi R8.
I believe the tire skids won't be the only skids that has happened.
After that incident, it wouldn't surprise me if they were elsewhere as well. It would not surprise me. But very good car control there. Absolutely. But goodness me, that was certainly an eye-opener. That's...
Yep, Omet thought she could go to sleep, but maybe she can go to sleep because it's the final lap.
I'll have to... Well, you know what they say, don't count your chickens before they've hatched. One of the many English idioms out there.
As Isaac is still a second within her. Maybe he can do something regarding that. still close. As we see Zo Akihara with a yellow flag, just going out wide at the last corner, I think, alone. Nothing too serious. As Omid and Isaac round out the final corner, it will be Omid who will...
I believe this is the final lap now, is it not?
Yes, it will be the final lap now. That's they will go into the final lap. Yeah. They go into the final lap still within like a second of each other.
Yeah. But if the Technoburst drivers are conversing with one another, it makes sense to think of the bigger picture, one could argue. But then again, you try telling anything to racing drivers, and it doesn't always go as planned, as it were. I'm sure that many of us in the motor racing world can remember the Multi-21 SIB, Multi-21.
How could we forget?
And how that went down. So, you know, anything is possible, especially between teammates, as we've seen a couple times today.
Yeah, it even had like some teammate collisions today between the Lamborghinis, I believe.
Yeah,
that's
it's
right.
Diaz and Death Player Entei coming a cropper early on, though, whilst one is currently sat in P4 in AM, P11th overall of the 93 of Death Player Entei. Diaz is down in 16th overall, as we see Jordan Brunch with a yellow flag. God, they're all at it now, and Jordan Brunch is in the wall at turn 1. Oh, and moving very slowly there.
Just
What
out
happened
of
to
the
his rider, I
Mercedes
wonder?
arena, let's see what happened to Jordan Brunch.
Second breakfast?
Jordan Breakfast.
Well,
Let's see what happened to Jordan Breakfast here.
Did he make 11s under braking into turn 1?
Oh, he
I
just...
believe that was just...
What?
Oh,
What was that?
Did he?
was
that a hardware failure?
Yeah.
As Omid On finishes the race in P1, wins the race while we were watching Jordan Brunch having that little moment there.
Indeed, so that brings us down to so spicy start and a lot of chaos throughout the race. So that's a Technoburst 1-2 provisional finish, with Musong rounding out in P3. Kel Squid and Kat Kisamiri taking P2 and P3 in AM respectively, as they pass the start-finish line.
What happens to Neko Kitten after this race? Because, you know, they failed to take the pit stop after the pit window closed, so maybe they get a penalty?
I would assume that would be the case, as we see now Biggie Hugs in P4, Midnight Hurricane P5 after a very damaged car out of an incident we might have missed. Amethysta VTube currently P6 on the track, but assuming no changes, she should be coming
Neko
up
Kitten
line
gets
short.
a 2-minute 10-second penalty for failing to take the mandatory pit stop. But still doesn't put them below Mentrix, I believe. As Mentrix is 3 laps behind them, so they would be safe with the position.
So, no. But yeah, so as more drivers cross the start-finish line, Deathplay Entei P4th in P11 overall, Ruby Nekamata in P12 overall after her disconnect and technical issues earlier
Jordan's steering is very bent.
Yeah, I believe Jordan might have been confused over
the car
whether we were on the white flag lap.
The car cannot turn right. Really
Indeed.
bent.
Kaito Nasa coming home P14 overall, that is P6 in class. Yeah, Ubi Diaz provisional 15th overall, P7. Yeah, there's been quite an interesting race today, although congratulations to our winners of Met Ohm and Excel Ubitsia there. Bit of an unexpected one considering how things started, but it's going to show that anything is possible in racing. Anything at all, as Hexlotl Ubitsia celebrates by giving some good old burnouts in that BMW M4. Go on, give it some. We all love to celebrate a little after a win, even if it's unexpected.
Oh, we do.
Yep.
Yeah.
What do we think about the race today?
Goodness me, that was a weird one. It's the only way I can think to describe it myself. Lots of unexpected incidents between drivers, unexpected moments between like disconnects and technical hardware issues from some of our drivers as well. So yeah, I feel that the stewards might have a busy night ahead of them before our next round in 2 weeks' time. But yeah, outside of that, for those that were able to take advantage of the chaos, those that managed to drive their races and keep their noses proverbially clean, it was a good race from them.
Yep.
I mean, that's it, isn't it? We were talking about just being consistent and keeping on track before the race started, and that's exactly what enabled them at home to seize the opportunity to take that win.
Indeed, although she got very close herself once or twice with a couple of spooky moments. I will say that moment that she had in the Schumacher races, hats off to her for her car control, if nothing else. That was very well held.
Oh yeah.
It's like left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right.
It's just well held car control.
Yep.
And that's part of what can save you sometimes, even if you are maybe pushing harder than you should. But no, I believe that is all from us today. Anyone else got anything else they can think of?
No, not really. But what? Speaking of races, we do have round 5 of the Old Guard Series tomorrow. We are going to a very wet night Zelda race. So brace yourselves, because old GT3s, very little traction. And next week we do have the finale of Track GT3 Cup, Track.eu GT3 Cup at Kyalami, returning to Kyalami after 2 seasons off.
Oh, Kailami, one of those most well-known and much-loved tracks plays from down in South Africa there. And other than that, our final round of Vtracc
It's
will be
in
2 weeks' time
Yep.
at the Temple of Speed, Monza.
And for
But
now, we will see you on the racetrack next